Well, okay, so this is probably a dumb idea, but I thought, why not? I haven't done anything weird in a long time. Why not write my newsletter, my Sunday newsletter that I write every week, live with you? So I thought, that sounds kind of fun. So I'm just starting without you here. And when you show up, because I just went live, I didn't announce this or anything. I just said, oh, I'll just go live. But when you show up, come say hi, and you'll understand kind of right away what I'm working on, and then I'll get you caught up on what's going on in here. So yeah, I had a thing I started and didn't get very far. Okay, I was doing themes for my newsletter, which I've never done really before, and I thought, eh, I bet I could. And so then I thought one way I could do that is I could set up a theme for every single month. So for reasons, I decided to do creativity for March. So January I did learning, February I did the basics, and March I did creativity. So those are the themes of the newsletter. So today, being March, I'm writing my newsletter for Sunday, March 3rd. I figured I'd write about creativity. And I thought, I'll invite you in. So if you're here, use the comment feature. Just comment, say, hey, tell me that you're here. And maybe you and I can create something together. Again, the theme of the newsletter is creativity. I'm writing my Sunday newsletter. And as you come stumble on in, that's what we're getting done. So every Saturday, I write my newsletter for Sunday. And I also try to think about things that have happened in the week. My newsletter's basic theme is can I give you information that'll help you operate your world a little better? So, your life, your business, things about that nature. I'll tell you some of the themes that I've had so far, or the letters that have come out for 2024 so far. The very first one I did for January 7th was Juicy, Juicy Learning. Learning for fun and value. You can always take a bite, which was kind of on, you don't have to dig in all the way and try to be the most learned person in the world. On donkeys and meditation, where in which I drew a donkey in my sketch pad. That's actually here somewhere. So I've been doing just a little bit more sketching just to kind of get that energy going again, because I shouldn't sketch. I'm such a out of practice kind of person, but it's very fun. Where's my donkey? Where's my donkey is also the name of my failed sitcom. Anyway, I can find it. So uh, I did something on that, and then I did the basics as my message on February 4th. I did it's all about value the week after, which is again a basics message. Something about restarting, and something about trying. So those were my basics. So if you're here, feel free to give me a comment. We're looking for topics for creativity for my first March newsletter. Now, in case you're sitting here watching this going, I thought Chris always had ideas for topics. I always have ideas for topics because I write 10 topics a day. I have this process that I learned from James Altucher, where in which I I have a little list and I write 10 ideas a day. And it can be 10 ideas on anything, but I tend to write 10 blog topics a day. So every day I just jot down 10 things that I could write about for my newsletter, 10 things I could write about or make videos about, etc. So I do that as well. Now, look, there's a whole bunch of people viewing me. Either that or this software just really wants me to not feel alone. Um, what are some thoughts? Talk to me a little bit about creativity. Just say hi, Chris. That's even fine. Just let me know that you're here. Oh no, I unplugged. I unplugged. I unplugged my camera by mistake. Oh no. Let me go to settings. Do. Got it back. There we go. There's Troy. Hi, Troy. Troy, you've done lots of creative things in your time. There's all kinds of things that you've put together. So I'm interested to know about your creativity. Where do you get your ideas? How do you start putting your thoughts together? What would be considered creative for you right now with all the different things you've done in your life? You've had so many other roles, so many other processes. Does anything particular come to mind? I'm also going to grab my coffee because I need to caffeinate up. This mug is from a work project called Fuel, and it's a 1-year training course that we offer at our company, Appfire, for our leadership. So it's a leadership training program for people at different levels of leadership throughout the organization, where in which they learn how to do things like better crucial conversations. They learn about how to prioritize better, how to handle situations in leading. They do the 5 dysfunctions of a team, Lencioni's book. I hope that's how you pronounce his name. So that's pretty interesting. Well, I haven't had a whole lot of ideas come in from people about what they wanted to talk about creativity. So I'm going to start the ball rolling, and I'm just going to start writing something about creativity. So I'll do fuel the pump for creativity. I always start in the sort of linear format. I start at the title. I start with the premise, and then I kind of work my way into that premise, so that as I'm making my newsletter, I make it so that people can see my intentions. People can immediately, when I start a newsletter, I do the title to see if I can get you to open the letter, right? That's the first win in any kind of communication and creativity, is can I get you to actually click open on the letter? So I don't know, fuel the pump for creativity. Maybe someone is thinking that they aren't super creative. Now, the thing is, as I listen to that title, I think, would I open that mail? I don't know if I would. So I'm going to retitle it, Fuel the Pump for Creativity. I'm trying to say that, here's a way you can never run out of ideas again. All right. That one feels more like a problem or challenge that someone might face. That one feels like something that people might come across and go, oh man, I run into that all the time. I get stuck. I don't know what kind of ideas I want. So never run out of ideas again. That's the premise. So I'm just going to start writing on it. So this is nuts. And I always, if you've ever read my newsletter, chrisbrogan.com/newsletter, by the way, I should probably put that up. I know how to use StreamYard. chrisbrogan.com/newsletter. There you go. So if you ever read my newsletter, I always start with some kind of a sentence to lead you in, and I use your first name. That is the only piece of mechanization or automation I use in my entire newsletter, is just the first name. And the reason I do is because it makes me feel better. It makes me feel happy that there's a way that you can, get connected to me. You can have that sense of that I'm saying something to you. I'm calling your first name. We all love our names. Like, as humans, we react to our name a whole lot. So that's just my method. That's the only thing where I do that. Okay, so I'm going to do this instead. Did that work? That worked. Perfect. Look at me. Now I look fancy. Now I look like there's breaking news, but it's just my newsletter. Okay, and if you're just joining, I'm writing my newsletter. That's all I'm doing. And feel free to say hi in the comments. I would love it if you say hi in the comments, because it's just Troy and me talking so far. Say hi, and I'm going to write a newsletter titled Never Run Out of Ideas Again. This is nuts. First name. I'm writing this newsletter live with a bunch of people watching me. It was an idea someone I hold dear to me gave me, and I thought it sounded fun. So here I am typing in front of an audience. That's pretty weird. The topic area of my newsletters in March is creativity. So I thought I'd tell you how I come up with endless ideas. I've written variations of this to you over the years. So if you're an old soul and remember all the hits, You'll know this one. If you're new, get ready to live. Get ready to rock. Yeah. Never run. And I always retitle my things in the middle so that in my subtitling, people can know that I'm talking to them. Troy, by the way, says, I'm in between creativity doing a lot of things I normally do and are tested, even if they're just the same old. I'm taking a day trip to someplace new sometimes helps jumpstart new ideas. I love that thinking. I really do. I think that a change of pace, a change of place, consuming something you normally wouldn't. I think those are some great ways to jumpstart creativity. I think also what happens is that, oh, you know what I just realized I could do? Why am I not even thinking like this? Brogan, what's wrong with you? Never run out of ideas again, douche. So now you can see me typing. Oh, I should probably turn it to day mode though. Sorry, everybody. So, I think that there's so many times and chances and places and ideas where you can shake things up a little to get a new angle. And when you say in between, what's kind of fun about that is when I'm in between, I explore. Like I go and look at like, are there some other ways that I can do things? Are there ideas that I can give you? Are there methods by which my experimentation can come back on the page? So that's kind of how I go after it. So like I said, I start my newsletter with something personal. I kind of explain what I'm doing. In this case, it's weird because I'm self-referential here, right? I'm doing this live with you. So I said, I'm writing this newsletter live. I'll make that bold. Oop. Writing this newsletter live with a bunch of people watching me. It was an idea someone I hold dear to me gave me. It's an idea a lovely friend provided. And I thought it sounded fun. So here I am typing in front of an audience. That's pretty weird. The topic of my newsletters in March are around creativity. So I thought I'd tell you how I come up with endless ideas. I don't do a whole lot of editing, but every now and again, especially while I'm sitting here talking to you, I could do some editing because I'm rereading it. The real way that people say you're supposed to write is you're supposed to write all the way through, get the whole draft out of you, and then go back and edit. That is correct advice. It is advice I am awful at doing. I correct it as I go. I make the thing finished by the time I'm finished. I edit real time. I think that that's the wrong way, and I am telling you and admitting to you that I shouldn't do it that way. But I know what I know, and I know what I do. All right, so here I am writing the newsletter. I've started with never run out of ideas again. I stole this idea a long time ago from James Altucher. No, well, I didn't want that to do it. Dismiss. No, thank you. James Altucher. He had this concept that's so easy and so perfect. Write down 10 new ideas a day. That was it. Nothing fancy. James purchased all kinds of, what do you call them? Waiting pads? I don't know. Let's see. Amazon. Pads for waiters. What do you call those? Guest checks? Server notepads? Guest checks. Okay. Here we go. James purchased all kinds of guest check pads. The kind, those pads that servers use when they take your order in a diner, for instance. All right, so one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link to these pads so that other people who are not remembering what I'm talking about can see that and know what I'm talking about. So it starts off, one of the things I do is I used to put no links in my email because I was trying to market, and I only wanted the call to action kind of link. But I put links to everything now because I want you to be as interested in things as I am. I want you to go, oh, what is that? And so I put links out to stuff sometimes. I find that if I can make the letter just a little more juicy that way, if I can share a YouTube video or, share some kind of cool article that I read, sometimes that gets people to pay more attention. Although the nature of my article normally is just purely personable. It's the goal is just to be very personable. So I don't care about the links massively. So that was it. Nothing fancy. James purchased all kinds of notepads. Those pads that service take your order in a diner, for instance, and he used those to write down 10 ideas a day. You can see how those pads lend themselves to the format he was talking about. I don't use the pads. I use Google Keep. Keep.google.com. You can use whatever you like. I prefer something digital for my writing ideas so that I can just copy paste the idea into a new document and start writing. That makes sense. So this covers the mechanics of the idea. Let's talk about how to fill those pads or digital pads with all that creativity. That's what you really want to know, right? First name of the person I'm writing to. Again, I like personalization in my letters because I think it's a fun idea. Oh, well, look at that. It's Chloe Forbes Kinlan, ladies and germs. She'd say you could keep this somewhere in Notion. Yeah, so it's fun. It's fun to share this, Chloe. I think it's fun just because, who knows? Maybe you'll see something and you'll go, oh, I totally want to do that sort of thing. All right, so where am I? So, oh yeah, I'm going to show you how to do it. How to come up with 10 ideas a day. I'll write you a list. How's that? That's probably 2 sentences. There we go. How to come up with 10 ideas. Let's do 10 of them. Get it? It's a circular reference. I do that all the time. So, all right. How to come up with 10 ideas a day. Answer the question, why hasn't anyone? I stole this from an awesome story from HubSpot. There was this wonderful young lady who, okay, I have to start at a different point. You see, when they first started painting the walls of their new headquarters, HubSpot painted every other wall with whiteboard paint. That's the paint you can write on with dry erase markers. But the key is the phrase every other wall. So, a nice young lady came into a room full of excitement, grabbed a marker, and wrote, why hasn't anyone, before enough people shouted, no, 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 because it was the wrong wall. But the question is awesome. Answered, why hasn't anyone proven a great use case for the Apple Vision Pro or whatever that scuba mask is called? There you go. That's one. So I'm going to do 10 of these, which is going to be a lot, and maybe I won't tell such a story for all 10. But you see my idea here? Like, the idea is just that I'm going to do this in a way that I will give everybody some material in my newsletter. So here I am writing it with you live. It's almost like a Lo-Fi Girl without the music. Although, you know what? I feel like that's a thing now. There you go. Now I'm Lo-Fi Girl. My absolute favorite streams are work with me or co-working streams. It's like learning and motivation, and it's fun to interact. Well, we can do that. I like that. I've never thought of doing that. I've never thought of being like one of those like live streamer types who do that sort of a thing. It's kind of funny. Funny to imagine. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep working on my list. So with me now, we have some Lo-Fi Girl music. Oh, that's not gonna work. That's gonna work. All right. So my first one, answer the question, why hasn't anyone? That's one of the ways to come up with all kinds of new ideas. Second one, mash two things together. One of the coolest things I've ever heard from my friend and co-author Dream Smith was that the movie pitch for Aliens was simply Jaws in space. Alien, I think it was. Can you imagine? That idea everywhere. I spoke with two women who are taking the mechanics of the gig economy and applying them to higher level professional roles in larger organizations, riding the wave of the fractional C-level craze. That's a mash. What else can you mash? So that is another idea. Double down. Yeah, so this is listed as lo-fi music. I don't know. I'm not exactly feeling it. Let's see. Let's see what night driving says. Well, this one says feeding the ducks. That sounds like sex music. That doesn't sound like feeding the ducks. You see this guy and you hear that music? That's not feeding the ducks. That's doing bad things to the ducks. It's daydreaming. These are all the built-in songs on StreamYard, by the way. I've never hardly pushed those buttons, but they're pretty funny. All right, let's get back to writing. We're writing a newsletter for those people. So, let's go. So mash two things together. Answer why hasn't anyone? I won't give you, I don't know, let's see how I do. Mash things together. Read a lot. When I read, I get my skull filled to the top with ideas. Read something outside your normal areas. Read some quotes from Rumi, for instance, or I'm going to give a link to some quotes for Rumi, or let's see, I'll do this other one too, because I'm reading this book that I really love called Babel by R.F. Kuang, and it is set in a fictitious 1830s, I think, era London, and it's at Oxford. And the idea is that it's more or less our world. There's a little bit of tiny bit of science fiction in it, and the science fiction is that if you, I think I understand it. I don't know. The way I think I understand it to be is if you take a silver bar and you write in English and then you write in one other language, some magical intent or whatever. So it's like a magic type book, but it's not a book for kids. It's a book for thinkers and all that. And what's if you kind of ignore the magic part, which is kind of just a plot thing, it's about a young boy from Canton who there's a horrible cholera outbreak. His mom dies right in front of him. He's about to die. This man busts in and helps him. He's kind of like, I'm not sure why this British man has come in and helped me. Whisks him away to England and says, you're going to learn to be a scholar because we need more people to do this kind of translation and bar stuff or whatever. And so almost all of the language in Babel is about how language controls empire and how language rises and falls with different empires and how words are controlling and how just understanding a word is never as good as like the full depth and context of it. It covers a whole lot about various racism that I hadn't really thought about, a lot of colonial racism. And it's just full of rich quotes though. The quotes in Babel. I wonder if I can find some Babel R.F. Kuang quotes. Babel quotes. Of course, because good read. So here's one of the lines. That's just what translation is, I think. That's all speaking is. It's listening to the other and trying to see past your own biases to glimpse what they're trying to say, showing yourself to the world and hoping someone else understands. Isn't that incredible? I think moments like this, language like this, it's so rich, it's so lush. And I think that the whole idea that we can come and find something like this, that can be a jumping off point for our own ideas, right? Like there's so much we can do with just picking off somebody else's quote. And I think that's exciting to me. That's one of the reasons I write. It's one of the reasons I'm an author. So let's go back to our newsletter. Take this quote for instance. Get a little B out of there. There we go. Well, that's not the way I want it to go. Four. Okay, so that's it. So when you read that quote, you'll go, "Oh, there's an idea." So I get a lot of my ideas for writing out of something like a quote. Like I could write a whole piece about that whole concept, that last sentence, showing yourself to the world and hoping someone else understands. That's what writing is, right? That's what I do with my writing. I write because I hope someone goes, "Oh, I feel that same way." Chloe says, that's such a rich, sticky to your brain kind of quote. I concur. I think there's a lot of good opportunity in that. So, all right, we're on to the next part of the newsletter. Let's see, what else? So I've got, why hasn't anyone? Mash two things together. Read a lot. Complain. Julian Smith to the rescue again. He used to shake other bloggers' hands and say, "Oh, you're a blogger? What do you complain about?" I love it. Oops. Yep, other bloggers' hands. I love the concept, the sentiment. A lot of writing can come from the heart of complaining. You make it more interesting, however, when you go from the grumpy complaint to a potential solution. So this is how my letters get written. I mean, not normally with a whole crowd of people, but yeah. And I'm at 617 words. That's troubling. I'm going to probably have to think about that because a lot of times when I write my letters, I like them to be between 300 and 500 words, right? Why? Because I want to value your time. I don't want to give you something that you open the mail, you go, "Oh, this is really long. I'm not going to have time to read that." And so I just want to give you just a bite. But let's see. I think I ended that on an even number, so I'm going to have to do one more. Let's just take a look. See, 4. Yeah, I need 5. So 5. So I've done. Why hasn't anyone? Mash 2 things. Read a lot. Complain. And by the way, grammar person, complain is a verb. Complain can be a full sentence. I can order you. Complain. It's a sentence. Talk with others. I find that this one is hit or miss for finding story writing ideas, because sometimes other people really love to talk about mundane things. However, I find that if you can ask a few interesting questions, you might get better material. An example. Every time I get in a Lyft or Uber, I ask the driver about their country of origin, because it's nearly never the same country as mine. I'll ask about food. I'll ask what their mom would cook for me. For us, if you invited me over to the house as a friend and not as a distinguished, I'll say special, guest, that's spurred many fascinating conversations. This letter to you is too long. I've gone too long. I have so many more ideas to share with you. Okay, here, this is a Chris Brogan thing. I write my letters on Sunday for two purposes at the minimum, but most often two purposes at most. I write my letter because I want to give someone ideas that I hope that they find useful. I want to earn your open of my newsletter. But my payment, because I don't take money for my newsletter, my payment in this instance is a reply. I crave replies. I love when people hit reply and tell me some thought they have. It can be just a couple lines. It can be something they go crazy and they write hundreds and hundreds of words. I've had people spill their bellies, especially when they disagree with me, but also sometimes when I've hit their topic and they're losing their mind to tell me about it. What I do in this next part of my newsletter, what I'm going to do, you'll see how I try to earn my supper this time and how I try to earn those replies. Let's dig in. I just realized you probably can't even hardly see it. Thank goodness I'm reading it out loud to you. There we go. I'll make it big, even though it looks weird on my screen. I've gone too long. I have so many ideas to share with you. I tell you what, you hit reply and ask me for some more ideas, and I promise that I'll give you even more ways to fill up your never run out of ideas again buckets. Is that a fair deal? I write 10 ideas every day, and I have thousands. But here's what I'll do. I'll write ideas on whatever theme you give me, and give them to you for future use. How can you lose? You can't. Why? And let's share ideas. Lots of exclamation points there. Okay. Done. Got it. Thanks, Chloe. So I've got it. Now all I do is I go over and, I hope this doesn't wreck StreamYard. I open up Slack and I find my good buddy Rob, because Rob is kind enough to help post these for me. We sort of split our duties. I say anyone with the link can edit. That. Then done all my things. I've done it. Did this whole live stream with you just to show you how I write a newsletter. Usually takes me about 20-ish minutes. This stream ran 35, but that's because I was going back and forth. I was talking to you or whatever. It takes me about 20-ish minutes to write a newsletter. So I don't know. Was this fun for you? Hope it was. I thought it was great. I didn't think it was great. I thought it was whatever. But I'm happy that you came and talked with me. So that was fun. Thanks for being part of this. Catch you later.